I've been looking forward to The End of Oak Street for a while, even before it had that title. It was originally supposed to be called Flowervale Street, and it was one of my most anticipated of the whole year, because it's written and directed by David Robert Mitchell, who made It Follows, which is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. He also made Under the Silver Lake, which is extremely weird, and they didn't know how to market it, and they kind of just buried it, and that sort of killed his career for a while, because that was 2019, and he hasn't made a movie again until now. But I was excited to see him back, taking on a dinosaur movie, and we got some really strong early reviews. And yet, I'm very disappointed. I was already disappointed once when the trailer actually came out. I thought it kind of just looked like a generic blockbuster, not really what I would have expected from David Robert Mitchell. But trailers can be deceiving, and then those early reactions were very strong. People were saying the movie was a lot of fun. I don't get it. I don't understand the hype. Maybe the scores will drop as more people see it, or maybe I'm just in the minority here, but I thought this was a mess. But I like to give credit where it's due, so I will say Anne Hathaway is the strongest performance here. She's really good. She's in like 5 movies this year, and this movie is lucky to have her. She nails the emotional scenes, and she looks badass shooting dinosaurs with a shotgun. And that's just a good idea in general. A neighborhood suddenly getting teleported through time into the prehistoric age, and you've got dinosaurs running around this suburban place, just a nice normal woman like Anne Hathaway having to step outside and defend her family against these beasts. She nails it, and it is a fun idea. The dinosaur scenes overall are the best scenes in the movie. Most of those actually do get pretty fun. I don't know what they did with the mixture of CGI and practical effects, how they brought these things to life, but they look pretty good. I felt the weight of them, like they felt like they were really there, and so I felt tension when they were approaching. There's also a good variety of them. It's not just the standard Velociraptor T-Rex. You get that stuff, but you also get other things too that are not as common in movies that looked really cool and unique, including like a giant snake creature, and I mean giant, which was just unnerving to look at. And they are a real threat. This movie gets surprisingly violent. I'll talk about the tone in a little bit, but the movie starts pretty cheesy and like formulaic, and it kind of seems like fun 80s adventure. But when the dinosaurs start chomping on people, like they do, you see as much blood and violence as you probably can for PG-13. An R rating and an extreme amount of bloodshed would have been awesome, but they pushed PG-13 probably as far as they could have. I was surprised to see some of the things that I saw here. Now to get into all the things that disappointed me. This movie felt strange to me from the beginning. It's set in the 80s, and we have our main character and his group of 3 friends riding around the neighborhood on their bicycles, dealing with bullies, and there's a new girl in town that they're paying attention to. And immediately I was kind of like, are we still doing this? Stranger Things has come and gone. It took 40 years for the final season to come out, but it has come and gone. Are we still doing the 80s thing? Can we not let it go? Like literally, of these 4 kids, 3 of them are white, 1 of them is black, and one of the white kids is kind of chubby. Like it felt so intentional, even. The family drama is kind of what you expect. The parents are having marital issues and the kids are wondering if they're gonna get a divorce, and they're upset about that, and then they get thrown into the chaos, and through all of the dinosaur carnage will maybe work out their family issues. It's all of those kind of classic tropes that you expect to see. And the beginning of the movie isn't bad or anything. Nothing is being particularly poorly done, but I'm just wondering, this is really basic. Is this all we have to offer? We've seen this so many times. It feels like it's trying to be that kind of Amblin, Spielbergian family adventure, but is that really what we're gonna do? Then we get to the dinosaurs. They start biting people, they're ripping limbs off, people are dying, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is getting kind of dark. This is getting a little bit more interesting. And yet overall, I think the tone was just really odd, because despite having those dark moments, which are some of the best parts of the movie, it really does lean into that family adventure style of things. Ultimately, that is how it ends up, being super cheesy. Everything ends up playing out exactly how I thought it would. And a lot of those early reviews were saying that it feels like an Amblin movie, it feels like a Spielberg movie. That's what a lot of people were saying. But to me, it definitely feels like it's trying to be that at times, but it feels so hollow. It feels completely artificial. It feels like it's just copying what those do without understanding why they succeed. The dialogue is extremely corny. Anne Hathaway is considering a divorce. She's considering leaving the family. And we get to a point in the movie, this is not a spoiler, this is a minor thing that happens. They figure out a way they might be able to go home, and Ewan McGregor suggests that Anne Hathaway go through first. And she goes, "I will not be separated from you and the kids." A little on the nose, don't you think? A little? This is not fair. This is not a fair comparison, but it reminded me of Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Don't leave me!
I thought you wanted me to leave!
No, I don't! You're my best friend!
I'm not comparing the quality of the movies. This is obviously not like that. But that one scene and the dialogue in it made me think of that other scene. There's a scene where the two of them get up to something funny. They have a little bit of banter between them in order to kind of endear us to them as a couple. And Ewan McGregor's response to the goofy thing Anne Hathaway does is, "You're silly." That's what he says. He goes, "You're silly." Dialogue. Like, that's not a thing somebody would say. That's the thing that's supposed to sell me on his feelings for her. Ugh, you're silly. Like, it felt so goofy, which just didn't mesh with all the people getting massacred by dinosaurs. If it had leaned into the chaos of the situation, maybe even been rated R, I think it could have been pretty awesome. But it really does fall back on the cheesy, just 80s tropes that we've seen so many times before. And that just didn't work for me at all. I also think it's kind of a waste of the premise because the entire neighborhood gets teleported, and yet we practically only focus on our main four characters, the parents and the two kids, and also their dog. The dog was cool. Like, we see other people running around, get eaten occasionally, there's some interaction here and there. But if you're gonna do this, you're gonna teleport the entire neighborhood. Let's do something with that. Let's have large groups. Let's have them come together and talk this out and strategize and have group chaos and group carnage and do something with the fact that it's the whole neighborhood. It feels weirdly like unalive. I guess a lot of people are probably hiding, but when we do see people, which we often do, it's all so separate and isolated, and it just feels like a bit of a waste of the premise when you could have like, if you're gonna make it basically just this family, then why wasn't it just this family? Why's it gotta be the whole neighborhood if you're not gonna utilize it that much? Early on in this movie, I actually started to wonder if it might be a parody, or if not a full-on parody, at least some kind of commentary, because we started off, again, feeling like the most generic 80s movie copycat of all time. I was like, really? Are we doing this? But then people started getting their heads bit off and whatnot. And I was wondering, are we like intentionally subverting the 80s tropes? Are we now gonna do something way different now that they've been teleported through time? Is it actually gonna flip everything on its head? No, it really doesn't. As I've said, it sticks to the formula, it sticks to what you expect. But it just goes to show that I was actively attempting to enjoy the movie. I thought, there must be more here, under the surface, that I'm missing. There must be something David Robert Mitchell is going for here, beyond this being as generic as it is. It can't be as generic as it seems to be. There must be something here, some kind of subversive message that he's going for, and I'm looking for it. And then eventually I just had to give up and acknowledge, no, that's not the case. It is actually just as bland as it seems to be. There's nothing deeper under the surface. And that was a real shame. These character moments, these emotional moments felt completely flat for me because they felt so templated. They felt directly copied from so many other movies that have done that kind of thing before, but done it better. And not only comparing it to other 80s tropes, even just on its own, I feel like the writing of this movie is off. I feel like it fails at basic setup and payoff. I mentioned the boys' friend group. Well, they never show up again. We see them riding around the neighborhood at the beginning of the movie, and then they're gone. We don't even know if they got teleported to the dinosaur times. If they did, we don't see them. They're just gone. Why? The bullies, or maybe not quite bullies, but at least kids that they have a conflict with, they do come back for like 30 seconds, and they do one thing, which is of no consequence, and then they're gone again. Why? What's happening? Why are you putting things in the movie that don't matter? This fight between these kids happens because main boy is upset that his parents might be getting a divorce, and so he's been acting out. We never see this. We never see him act out. We are told that he's been acting out. And then they get into this fight, and maybe it could make him wake up and realize, oh, wow, you know what? I have been acting out. I've dedicated myself to change. No, that doesn't happen. It doesn't lead to any growth on screen. We're told that he's acting out, and by the end of the movie, we're told other things, but we see nothing actually occur here as far as what could actually be called a character arc, and so it's just a waste of time. Why were these characters in the movie at all? You didn't pay them off. There's this one side character girl that we spend a little bit of time with. We barely know anything about her at all, but of the few conversations we do have with her, maybe it's only really even the one real conversation, they mention that she goes to private school. This has been brought up multiple times in the movie, and they eventually ask her, what's private school like? And she says, I've never been to public school, so I really can't compare. I can't tell you what's different. And that's the end of that. That's where that's dropped. Okay? And I'm not asking for like a deep exploration of the nature of private school, but I'm just saying you've brought it up multiple times. It's one of the only things we know about her. Why did you write it? Why are you writing these details in here that go nowhere? Religion, God, comes up a couple times. There's that line in the trailer where Ewan McGregor says, God won't let us die, which is a really weird line because God has never been mentioned before. This family's never been shown to be religious, and it's turned into a joke. Anne Hathaway says, you go to church once a year on Christmas. Why are you bringing up God? It's a weird line, but it's made into a joke, so I'm like, whatever, fine. But then it comes up again later, because they're having a conversation with private school girl, and they ask her if she believes in God, and the different characters have different answers to that. And I was like, okay, this has come up multiple times too. And that feels intentional. That feels like you're trying to say something with that. You're trying to go somewhere with that. No, absolutely not. Like, there are just these details in the script. I don't know if there were rewrites or reshoots or something, but I swear there's just shit in this movie that just doesn't go anywhere and doesn't mean anything and is there for no reason. If it's meant to be character building and that's it, it doesn't do that. The fact that I know this girl goes to private school doesn't tell me anything about her as a person. This guy had a conflict with this other guy that literally meant nothing. That's not character building. It's a waste of my time. The music was really generic. Like, when they're being chased by a dinosaur, the music that's played is the exact music that you think would be being played during a scene like that. I haven't even really mentioned Ewan McGregor as a performer much because I thought he was much weaker than Anne Hathaway. I usually like the guy, but he was fine here. It didn't really feel like he was as committed as she was. He was not nailing those emotional moments as strongly as she was. I thought he was a little bit weaker than I usually see him, honestly. I don't think there's anything particularly amazing about the direction here either. There are some good shots. I think the movie overall looks pretty bland, like the color palette and everything, even though you got this lush greenery and all the dinosaurs, it just doesn't look that interesting. There are a few nice shots, a few long takes of dinosaur action, but the split diopter shots, oh my god. I didn't think Lee Cronin's The Mummy was going to have competition for the highest number of split diopter shots in 2026, but here we are. That's when you've got an object in the foreground and the background both in focus at the same time, which normally I really like. I do the Leo meme where I'm like, oh, there it is. I think it's really cool. But like when it pops up sparingly and is used in a really nice, important moment. But when you use them all the time, they just kind of lose impact and they get a little distracting. Like, why are we doing this so often? It's starting to look a little ridiculous. So this movie just didn't work for me. I had fun in parts. It's far from terrible, but I just left confused. I was not having a good time for the most part. I got pretty bored. I thought the emotional moments felt completely flat. I was not satisfied by the end whatsoever. It just felt so off with the tone and the writing, and it felt like it kept trying to be more than it ended up being. Let's go a little further with the violence. Let's maybe do something a little bit different here and there. And I cannot pretend to know any of the behind the scenes details. I wasn't there. I don't know if this is exactly what the director wanted. I don't know if there was any conflict with the studio or what may have happened, but the way it feels is as if this is a compromised vision, as if there was conflicting ideas behind the scenes. That feels like the kind of movie David Robert Mitchell would have wanted to make based on what I know of his previous movies. Something darker, something with a little bit more to say, and then the studio was just like, nope, rein that back in. Every time it would start to kind of push in that kind of direction, they said no, because we got to make it simple and safe and just appealing to general audiences. But I feel like it's so safe and so simple that a lot of people probably aren't going to talk about it. And you know what? A lot of people do seem to be enjoying it, and that's a good thing. I'm glad people have fun. It always just feels so weird because it's like, you guys got to have fun. Why didn't I get to? I was actively performing mental fucking gymnastics, trying to look at this movie from some kind of lens that would convince me, oh, actually, yeah, this is more interesting than I thought it was. But no, I had to just eventually admit to myself that's not the case, and I did not enjoy it. I just have to be honest about that. And I don't understand the praise. I think it completely fails to be the Spielbergian adventure that it's trying to be. It feels so hollow, so artificial, so corny. I think it's tonally confused. I think the dialogue is bad. I think the writing is bad. The dog was cool. The dinosaurs were cool. Anne Hathaway was cool. This should have been about Anne Hathaway and a dog solo journeying through a prehistoric wasteland, fighting dinosaurs by themselves. Hell yeah, dude. Give me that movie. Fuck the family bullshit. I don't care. That was lame. Real lame. So I guess the fact that I said at one point I thought it might be a parody is pretty damning. That's kind of all you need to know. If you like dinosaurs, go have fun. They're even presented, as far as I can tell, more historically accurate than you often see. Like, a lot of them have feathers, even though we're so afraid to draw them with feathers nowadays because we don't think it looks as cool, I guess. A lot of them have feathers here. But in general, I just have to be honest and say that I had a bad time and did not enjoy it and was quite disappointed. But if you have seen The End of Oak Street, leave your thoughts in the comments whether you agree or disagree. Did you find some kind of extra layer to the storytelling that I just missed? Or was it as simple as I thought it was, but you just enjoyed that anyway? You enjoyed the tone? Whatever you thought, let's talk about it down in the comments. Thank you for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you want to see more from me. I appreciate it. And I hope to see you next time.